Oh, here we go. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Yes, sir. Gibbs goes around. Yellow zone.
Joe Gibbs Racing is in chaos, and Denny Hamlin just threw gasoline on the fire. In what's quickly becoming one of the most heated internal feuds of the 2025 NASCAR season, Denny Hamlin has openly called out Joe Gibbs Racing over its lack of leadership and unclear team dynamics, putting the spotlight on a moment that may have already reshaped the outcome of the playoffs. It all began at New Hampshire during the opening race of the round of 12. Running in 11th place on lap 110, Hamlin was battling his JGR teammates Ty Gibbs and Christopher Bell. That's when things took a turn. Hamlin slipped underneath Gibbs and clipped his left rear, sending the number 54 Toyota into the turn 1 wall. The crash forced Gibbs out of the race and triggered a caution that changed the tone for the rest of the day. But the wreck was just the spark. What followed was a full-blown inferno. My teammate shouldn't be the hardest car to pass. Hamlin, clearly frustrated, didn't hold back on his Actions Detrimental podcast the following day. Speaking with a tone that made it clear he'd reached a breaking point, Hamlin questioned the culture at JGR and laid bare the internal dysfunction plaguing one of NASCAR's most elite teams.
You know, my teammate out of the playoffs should not be the hardest car on the track to pass.
Venting over the fact that Gibbs, who is no longer in the playoff hunt, was still defending his position aggressively. Hamlin wasn't just venting about one race. He was exposing a deeper issue, the absence of clear team rules. With 3 JGR drivers still in the playoffs, Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Chase Briscoe, he expected a level of strategic cooperation. What he got instead was resistance from within. Ty Gibbs, for his part, didn't stay silent. After being wrecked and taken out of the race, he radioed in a defiant "game on," signaling that he wasn't going to back down just because he's out of playoff contention. It was the clearest indication yet that the Gibbs-Hamlin relationship had fractured. And the wreck didn't just cost Gibbs a finish, it potentially fractured the team at the worst possible time. The playoffs are a make-or-break moment, and internal drama can undo even the best performance on track. Team owner Joe Gibbs attempted to downplay the situation, telling Fox's Bob Pockras that the drivers should handle it themselves.
It's always the drivers that have to handle that. They're the ones that got the wheel, and so I think that's always the case.
But his non-committal response only added fuel to the fire. For Hamlin, that's not good enough. He made it crystal clear on his podcast. He wants leadership to step in.
What I want to happen is just leadership step in and tell us, what do you want us to do?
Hamlin demanded.
If you want us all to just race each other cutthroat, no matter what your position is in stature in the standings, we can definitely do that. Like I expect.
The deeper issue here isn't just a wreck or a bad day on the track. It's the power dynamics within Joe Gibbs Racing. Ty Gibbs is more than just a teammate. He's the grandson of the team's founder and owner. That family tie makes every interaction with him more delicate and more volatile. As Adam Alexander pointed out on NASCAR's Inside the Race, this is a nightmare scenario for Joe Gibbs. You're less than 2 months removed from Denny signing a contract extension that will keep him at JGR for the rest of his career. He noted, "This isn't just about Ty Gibbs. It's about Denny Hamlin, the face of the franchise." Alexander added that Hamlin doesn't often make noise for personal gain, so when he does speak up, it carries extra weight. He's not the guy to bang on the table or pull out his resume, so when he speaks, people listen. At the core of Hamlin's frustration is a brutally simple truth. The stakes are too high for selfish racing. With stage points playing a critical role in advancement, every position counts. So when Hamlin was forced to fight his own teammate harder than any rival on the grid, just for 11th place, it sent a clear message. JGR isn't aligned.
I will play by those rules, but I've been told in the past, if you're not in it, you do everything you can to help your teammates that are in it.
Instead, he found himself battling a teammate like it was the Daytona 500. It's not just fans or media asking hard questions. Hamlin himself is pointing fingers at the top. He openly admitted that the real issue is a lack of leadership direction. But that begs the question, why haven't those rules already been made clear? In past seasons, top-tier teams have navigated the playoffs with structured plans. Drivers knew their roles. Whether it meant yielding positions or staying out of the way, it was clear. But at JGR, it seems like that structure doesn't exist, or at least isn't enforced. What makes this blow-up more significant is the timing. JGR had just dominated round 1 of the playoffs. They were poised to make a legitimate title run with multiple drivers in contention. But now, instead of building momentum, they're dealing with headlines, finger-pointing, and the kind of tension that can fracture a garage. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time Gibbs and Hamlin have clashed. They've had subtle disagreements before, usually behind closed doors. But this one, it's out in the open. The wreck, the radio jab, the podcast rant, it's all public. Joe Gibbs is in a nearly impossible position. On one hand, he needs to protect his star driver and ensure the playoff push doesn't go off the rails. On the other, he can't be seen as favoring one driver over his grandson, especially in the long-term plans of the organization. Adam Alexander summed it up best. I have confidence in Joe Gibbs to handle it, but I don't envy the position he's in, and that's putting it lightly. Because the wrong decision here could not only end JGR's 2025 championship hopes, it could damage relationships permanently. For Hamlin, 2025 is more than just another season. It's a career-defining opportunity to finally capture the elusive Cup Series title that has always danced just out of reach. With 5 wins this year, he's having one of his best campaigns ever. But success in NASCAR isn't just about driving. It's about strategy, unity, and trust. And right now, Joe Gibbs Racing is missing all 3. The crash at New Hampshire wasn't just a moment, it was a message. It told the world that JGR's drivers are no longer on the same page, that internal communication has broken down, that playoff priorities are blurred by egos, legacy, and conflicting loyalties. Hamlin didn't just want an apology, he wanted order. A plan, a roadmap for how teammates should behave when championships are on the line. Without that, he made it clear, no one wins. What happened at New Hampshire might be remembered as the moment Joe Gibbs Racing fell apart, or the moment it finally woke up. The ball is in Joe Gibbs' court now. Will he establish control and unify his drivers, or will he let this conflict drag the team into deeper dysfunction? One thing's for sure, Denny Hamlin has drawn the line. He's not asking, he's demanding. And if JGR doesn't step up, this isn't just a team drama. It's a full-blown organizational crisis in the middle of a championship chase. At Joe Gibbs Racing, the silence from the top may be the loudest message of all.
2 questions. Do you like the spray of tracks for the current playoff system? And 2, if there's something that Alex Bowman could change, not necessarily in his favor, but change for the playoffs to make it more fair.
Alex Bowman, the driver who's made the playoffs 7 out of 8 years, just told everyone the whole system is broken. And then he turned around and defended his biggest rival. That's got the entire NASCAR world scratching their heads. The Hendrick Motorsports driver dropped some truth bombs recently that nobody saw coming. Here's a guy who drives the legendary number 48 Chevrolet, consistently makes the playoffs, and has every reason to love the current system. But instead of playing it safe, Bowman went on the Speed Freaks podcast and said something that shocked the NASCAR world. "I would just like 36 races and call it good," Bowman stated flatly. He wants NASCAR to ditch the entire playoff format and go back to the old-school system where whoever has the most points after 36 races wins the championship. No eliminations, no must-win situations, just pure season-long consistency. Think about that for a second. This is coming from someone who's literally built his career success around the current playoff system. At 32 years old, Bowman has made the playoffs in 7 of the last 8 seasons. His best championship finish was 6th place back in 2020. You'd think he'd be all in on keeping things exactly as they are. But Bowman isn't just any driver making noise for attention. He's been around long enough to see both sides of this debate, and he's not afraid to speak his mind even when it goes against his own interests. The really shocking part, Bowman knows his opinion doesn't matter. When asked if NASCAR would ever change back to the old format, he didn't hesitate with his answer.
No, definitely not. 0% chance on that one. I don't think so, at least. I think the playoffs are important in creating excitement.
He went even deeper, explaining something most drivers won't admit out loud.
But at the end of the day, we're entertainers and creating entertainment, and our job is to entertain the fans. I think the playoffs create a lot of excitement.
That's brutal honesty right there. Bowman basically admitted that NASCAR prioritizes entertainment over pure competition, and he's okay with that reality even though he disagrees with it personally. But here's where it gets really interesting. Bowman knows he's fighting a losing battle, and he's humble enough to admit it.
Even more so, like, I'm a dumb race car driver. Like, people way smarter than me decide what the championship format should be. So
now, you might be wondering why this matters so much right now. Well, Bowman's playoff situation this year perfectly illustrates his point about the current system's problems. Going into the second playoff race at Gateway, Bowman was in serious trouble. He sat 15th out of 16 playoff drivers, sitting 19 points below the cutoff line to advance to the round of 12. This put him in a nearly must-win situation, and that pressure showed on the track. At Gateway, everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Bowman. He started 25th and immediately ran into pit road problems. Multiple botched pit stops, including a speeding penalty that killed his chances completely, dropped him to a 26th place finish. That left him 35 points below the cutoff line heading into Bristol. After the race, a frustrated Bowman told reporters,
I don't want to call anybody out. Like, it just kind of is what it is. So just got to keep working. Can't have those mistakes this time of the year. And honestly, just haven't been executing very well.
The execution problem started the week before at Darlington, where Bowman suffered through a disastrous 40-second pit stop just 70 laps into the race. While his Hendrick teammates like Chase Elliott bounced back at Gateway, with a third-place finish, Bowman's struggles continued. It's the perfect example of how the playoff format can make or break a season in just a few bad moments, regardless of how well you performed over the first 26 races. But here's where Bowman really shocked everyone. In the middle of dealing with his own playoff troubles, he took time to defend one of his biggest rivals, Joey Logano. Now, Bowman and Logano have history. They've traded paint, exchanged heated words, and battled hard for position countless times over the years. These two are not friends, which makes what happened next so surprising. During his appearance on Speed Freaks, Bowman directly addressed the criticism that follows Logano and several other recent NASCAR champions. Critics love to call these championships illegitimate because the drivers didn't dominate the entire season. Logano won the 2024 championship despite having a relatively quiet regular season. He only made the playoff field because of a 5-overtime victory at Nashville Superspeedway, then got hot at exactly the right time during the playoffs. Some fans and media members have called this championship illegitimate because Logano wasn't the most consistent driver all year long. Bowman wasn't having any of that criticism.
I think I've seen the people that are trying to say that, like, Joey's taking advantage of it, right? Because he struggled throughout the year last year, got one win, and then kicked all our ass in the playoffs.
Right.
That doesn't make him an illegitimate champion.
This defense coming from Bowman carries serious weight. When a driver defends someone he's had run-ins with purely based on principle, that means something. Bowman could have easily stayed quiet or even piled on the criticism. Instead, he chose to give credit where credit was due. The timing of these comments couldn't be more relevant. NASCAR's championship format has been under intense scrutiny lately, with several high-profile voices calling for change. Denny Hamlin, the 2024 Daytona 500 winner, recently made waves by declaring the fan base is over it when discussing the current playoff system. He pointed out how unfair it would be if someone like Cody Ware, who sits 36th in points with no top 5 finishes, could eliminate consistent performers like Tyler Reddick or Alex Bowman from playoff contention with a single superspeedway win. Mark Martin, the NASCAR Hall of Famer, has been even more vocal. Reports suggest he's been screaming for NASCAR to return to a full season points format during meetings of the sports playoff committee. Fan polls conducted by reporters like Jeff Gluck consistently show that the majority of NASCAR fans want to return to the 36-race championship format. The criticism isn't just coming from drivers and fans. The numbers tell their own story about the current system's flaws. Joey Logano's 2024 championship came with an average finish of 17.1, the worst average finish of any champion in Cup Series history. Austin Dillon made the 2024 playoffs despite sitting 25th in points with just 5 top 10 finishes and no top 5s all season. Meanwhile, consistent performers like Tyler Reddick, who finished second in the Daytona 500 and sits seventh in points with 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s, face the possibility of missing the playoffs entirely if another first-time winner emerged. This creates exactly the kind of situation Bowman was talking about when he said he prefers the old format. Under the pre-playoff system, consistency over 36 races mattered most. Now, one hot streak or one lucky win can override months of steady performance. Chase Briscoe's playoff strategy perfectly illustrates how the current format changes racing itself. After winning the playoff opener at Darlington, Briscoe openly admitted his approach for the remaining round of 16 races would be different. If there is a situation that arises throughout the race, say a caution comes out with 5 to go before a stage, all of those guys are going to have to stay out and get the points. Where obviously, if we were leading, we would probably stay out to get the playoff point, but if not, it allows us to be really aggressive on strategy. In other words, winning early in the playoffs lets you race more conservatively, while drivers still fighting for advancement have to take bigger risks. This fundamentally changes the competition itself. What makes Bowman's comments so powerful is his willingness to speak honestly despite the potential consequences. He's currently fighting for his playoff life, needing strong performances to advance. The last thing most drivers would do in his situation is criticize the very system they're trying to succeed in. But Bowman chose honesty over politics. He admitted the playoff format creates entertainment value while simultaneously arguing it doesn't crown the best champion. He defended a rival's achievements while maintaining his preference for a different system entirely.
Denny Hamlin on the pole position alongside Kyle Larson. Race 2 of the playoffs. Let's go!
Denny Hamlin just won his 5th race of 2025 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, but what he said after crossing the finish line has everyone talking. For the first time ever, the 44-year-old driver revealed exactly when he plans to hang up his helmet. And the clock is ticking faster than anyone thought. When reporters asked Hamlin how he stays so focused at his age, his answer caught everyone off guard.
I knew exactly how many races were left, and it's like, the countdown has begun.
This wasn't some vague comment about retiring someday. Hamlin was dead serious about having an exact number. He went on to explain that he'll turn 45 the week after this season ends, and that leaves him just 2 more seasons after 2025. Do the math, and you're looking at roughly 70 races left in one of NASCAR's most successful careers. Hamlin even talked about a recent conversation with Kevin Harvick, saying, "I knew exactly how many races were left." But here's the kicker. Hamlin isn't planning to fade away quietly. He made it crystal clear that pride won't let him stick around past his prime.
There's just got to be a means to an end. I'm just not going to leave this sport on my deathbed. Just leaking oil, just running in the back of the pack. I have way too much pride for that. I'm way too cocky for that. There's just no way. I want to be able to win my last race.
This timeline means Hamlin has exactly 2 more shots at the Daytona 500, 2 more chances to finally win his first Brickyard 400, and most importantly, a rapidly closing window to capture that elusive first championship. When asked if winning the title would make him consider walking away on top, Hamlin didn't hesitate.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds like a good way to end.
Sunday's victory at Gateway wasn't just another win. It marked Toyota's 200th NASCAR Cup Series victory. With Hamlin claiming 56 of those wins, that ties him with Kyle Busch for the most Toyota victories ever. At 59 career wins, he's also just 1 away from tying Kevin Harvick at 60 wins. Ty Gibbs from Toyota Racing Development put the milestone in perspective, saying it represents 19 years of partnership success across teams like Joe Gibbs Racing, 2311, and others. For Hamlin, who switched from Chevrolet to Toyota early in his career, the relationship runs deep.
Relationship with them. And so, I've got Toyota running through my blood, both top and bottom.
He said, referencing both his driving career and his ownership of 2311 racing with Michael Jordan. While Hamlin was celebrating and making retirement announcements, Shane Van Gisbergen was fighting for his NASCAR playoff life, and honestly, it wasn't going well. The New Zealand driver started 18th at Gateway, just 0.4 of a second behind Hamlin's pole-winning time. That looked promising, but things went downhill fast. Van Gisbergen climbed to 17th on the opening lap, but his car developed serious handling problems that never got fixed.
Oh, we're wrecking. It's Shane Van Gisbergen and the WeatherTech Chevrolet.
No caution, get it rolling here if you can. Barely touch the left rear on the wall. Should be fine. Get it turned right here, all good.
Over the radio, Van Gisbergen didn't hold back his frustration. "I feel useless," he told his crew after struggling with a car he described as very loose. The problems were consistent throughout the race. He'd show speed on restarts, but lose everything once the field spread out. "I'm good on a restart, but once it strings out, I've got nothing," he explained to his team.